Hello guys, I really hope you enjoyed today. Today's really a cool one. It's about discovering your true disability, and I say some stories in it, and I think I explain it in quite a good, authentic way. And I really hope we enjoy it and take this information in and realize the truth. Guys, I hope you enjoy it, and let me know. Like and share and do all that good stuff. So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Hello guys, I hope we're doing good. I want to talk to us today about something called, what's this coming up? So I want to talk to us about something called uncovering our true disability. And I want to talk to us and give you really a strategy and a framework of how you can notice to uncover your own true disability. Now, because I remember realizing what my actual disability was. And it was like, when I was in sixth form, I really hated it. Really hated it. Didn't have a clue what was going on in lessons. The kids, sometimes they made fun of me, sometimes they didn't, but I beat myself up so bad, and I was saying so many mean things to myself, and I wasn't speaking all day. I was getting home and crying and all these different things, and feeling hopeless because I felt like I had loads of support, I had loads of help, but yeah, I was still at this position where it felt hard, it felt negative, it felt like, now what? I've had the help, I had the support, I've had everything I was supposed to get. Now what? But going through the journey of really understanding how life works and really taking responsibility of my dyslexia and taking responsibility of myself, I remember looking back and I had so much more confidence, and I was improving my boxing ability a lot, and my English was going through the roof. I was working really hard on it, and I was succeeding in this. And I was looking back, I was like, look at me now. I wasn't bragging. I'm not saying this to brag or say that. I was just looking back thinking, why couldn't I do it back then? Back then, I was still the same person. I'm still the same person I was a year ago. Nothing about me has massively changed. Like, I didn't suddenly grow another limb or something. I'm still the same person as back then. But why am I so much more capable to do so much more things? Why can I, speak to the people I want to speak to? Why can I, do the training I want to do the training on? Why can I actually improve my English? The amount I want compared to the past, it felt impossible for me to improve my English. And I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because I wasn't having a lot more extra helps and support and a lot more extra one-to-ones. I was having a lot less than what I was used to. And then I really realised something. I really realised that I got out of my so-called disability. I got rid of my disability that was really holding me back. And the disability wasn't that I had dyslexia. It wasn't the strength that dyslexia was holding upon me, like, oh, dyslexia is this and it affects you in this way. It wasn't that was holding me back. What was actually holding me back was what I believed about myself. Because I'd done certain things and I believed I was unconfident. I believed that I couldn't do it. I believed that this was the best I could ever be. I believed that I couldn't really improve that much. I believed that how I was acting now would be the best time. I believed it. And therefore that was the crutch, because I believed I couldn't speak to people. I couldn't at that time, but I didn't really believe that I could get much better. I didn't really believe that I could improve like that. I didn't really believe or really realise how to get better and how to improve. And that's what I want to talk to you today about the power of belief. Because the biggest problem, for example, the biggest problem with dyslexia is not dyslexia itself. It's oftentimes what you believe about dyslexia. Because if you're sitting here saying dyslexia is negative and dyslexia holds me back, my friend, what holds you back the most is what you believe about that dyslexia. Okay? So I really want us to discuss what dyslexia is. Dyslexia is this thing that in the brain which makes you process things differently. Oftentimes it works a lot more right side of the brain and a lot more visually. Okay? And because it works the brain differently, there's going to be things that are harder and things that are easier. But here's the downside with it. Yes, we have things that are harder and things that are easier. Our environment around us, especially in school, is more tailored to things we find more harder and less tailored to things we find more easier. And now basically what we should really strive to do is to create our environment, create our situations around us, like our job, the things that we do, to really complement our strengths and not complement our weaknesses. But let's understand, okay, that's dyslexia. And okay, if that's dyslexia, then how do I, you mean that if that's dyslexia, then why do I think it stops me in my life? Because does dyslexia stop you learning? No. I learned a lot of stuff. Dyslexia doesn't really stop you learning. Does dyslexia make it impossible for you to do certain things? No, it doesn't make it impossible to do certain things. Yeah. What dyslexia does, dyslexia makes things a little bit more challenging, especially when you're taught in the way that you're not designed to teach. Yes, it can make things more challenging. But then there's ways around it, isn't there? Especially nowadays with the internet, you can find solutions to your problems so much more easier. So we can think about that. Okay, so dyslexia doesn't really properly limit us in my life. It just somehow, it's just add an extra layer of complexity. It doesn't limit us. It doesn't physically stop me doing something. I'm not, for example, I have 2 legs, I have my brain, I have my arms, I can work my brain, I can work things. For example, a year ago, I could still read, but I could read slowly. And it took a lot of effort for me to read. But I could still do it. I wouldn't count myself as a person who never could read. I could still read words on a page. But it's still slow, and I still spelled it phonetically. It still took a lot of brain power to do it. But then a couple of months ago, I did a certain strategy. Now it's effortless for me to read. I'm reading books which I'd never read before. And because I found the right strategy, it was possible. And oftentimes we're looking for the strategy to fix something. And oftentimes we haven't found the strategy. And it's up to searching. Searching the strategy for dyslexics is a lot more whole brain. It's a lot more, when I say whole brain, it's a lot more, basically we can see it, we can touch it, we can feel it. Multisensory is the word. But okay, it's not limiting us. So why do we feel it limits us? Why do we feel it limits us? Why do we feel it stops us making friends? It stops us succeeding. It stops us doing these things. Well, the actual fact, it doesn't physically limit us. What limits us? Oftentimes our belief. And our belief can send us in a downward spiral, because this is how a little model that I learned. It's really, really cool. So, for example, when people are going in a downward spiral, for example, what I mean like that, when you see people that are upset, that are grumpy, that are like just kind of sad, they're often that way all the time. But if you look at people who are happy, they're always happy. If you look at people who are funny, they're probably always funny. If you look at people that act in a certain way, they often act in that way a lot of times. And these two contrasts, and it's because of the method I'm going to teach you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'm going to explain it because it's a spiral. So first off, we have our potential. Now, I would argue that our potential is actually limitless, but what stops us is our beliefs. So we have our potential. I would say, let's say our potential is limitless. So we have our potential, and from our potential, we take certain actions. If we believe our potential is limitless, guess what? We can take a lot of actions. Like I did with my English. I believed that I could do it, even though I didn't really know anything, but I believed I would give it everything I got. Anything's possible, right? So I took a lot of action. I got a great result. And from a great result, that hit into my belief. My belief is, Jesus Christ, I can do this now. What can I do? I'm going to get in a video of you and speak a lot. So that changed my result of what I can do. And that result changed my belief. My belief about my potential. I said, yeah, I can do it. What else can I do? And see how that would change into a positive spiral going up. But also, that works in the negative way. For example, if I believed I couldn't learn English, which I believed all my life, most of it, I believe I couldn't learn English. I can't learn English, therefore, if I believe I can't, if I believe my potential is really limited, do you think I'd put a lot of work in? No, I wouldn't. Even if I put a lot of work in, I wouldn't be fully engaged in that work. Okay, therefore, I would get poor result. If I put poor action in, I would get a poor result. And with that poor result, what do you think that would do to my belief? That would negatively impact my belief. See, I told you I couldn't do it. I told you I couldn't learn that thing. And then next time around, you take even less actions. You get even less result. You believe yourself even less. It goes down and down and down and down. So do you understand? That's the power of belief. And what I say all the time is the most thing about dyslexia is what you believe about dyslexia, okay? And also because our beliefs, like oftentimes we come from our environment around us, what people are saying about us. Because I remember it was really interesting. Because what people say is really important. Remember, it was really interesting. that when I was working my English, I was in sixth form, and I was in a group of boxers, because we were all boxers at that time, and like real boxers, and typically I don't have stereotypes or whatever, but a lot of people that are really, really into boxing often have more of a working class background, and oftentimes that are not really focused on education as much. So that's how it is. So there's like half of us retaking our English. I wasn't retaking it, I never really done it. So half of us really retaking our English. I remember there was this really smart guy there. That was, you could clearly see he got things like that. He could read, he could articulate, he could do all these things. It was natural to him. But yet he was still retaking it for like the third or fourth time. It was amazing to me. And then I was wondering, when I was working really hard to do my English, and I was like, yeah, I was kind of making progress. And then I was wondering, why is this my first time taking it, and I'm like going to succeed in it? And why are all these people taking it for the third time, even though they can do it, even though they're so much more capable of it, even though you see it so much easily, their potential is so much more higher? Why do they fail? They fail because of what they say about it. Because when they're on the bus, they would say things like, oh, I hate that math teacher. English is stupid. I know how to read. I know how to write. Well, I don't have to pass this thing. This is useless. I'll never pass. They said these things over and over again to themselves, out loud to their friends. Now, if that's what they're saying to their friends, what do you think they're thinking about themselves? That's what I could see. I'm sitting there seeing all of this. Like, that's why they believe that, because they say it. That's what they believe. They believe they can't improve, so they don't. So they don't pass the test. They believe they can't pass, so they don't pass the test. I thought that is such an eye-opener. That makes so much sense. They believe they can't do it, therefore they don't. But I believe I could, even though you see it so clearly, I was at such a disadvantage compared to these very capable people. I was such a disadvantage, but I did it because I believed it, because it's something I needed to understand really carefully. If you believe you can, and if you believe you can't, you're both right. Let me say it again, because it's critically important. If you believe you can, you believe you can't, you're both right. Because if you believe you can, that's like a reason. Your reasons for learning drive how much you learn. It's so important, okay? So I really talked about this, and I want to get into the strategy on how you can basically uncover your true disability, the disability, what you believe about dyslexia, okay? So the first thing you have to do, step one, understand and really realize that your dyslexia doesn't stop you doing anything. It doesn't physically stop you doing anything. Yes, things are harder, but it does not physically stop you doing anything. It doesn't physically limit you in your life, because there's strengths and there's weaknesses, okay? So understand that. So it does not limit you in your life. And what limits you is that story you tell yourself in your head about why you can't get it. That's what limits you. You should understand that. You have that knowledge coming into it. That's the first thing. The second thing you do is you notice your thoughts. You notice your thoughts. And there's a saying that Jim Rohn says, really cool. If you don't know who he is, Jim Rohn, he's like one of the old school people that talk about life and stuff. And he says this, he said, stand guard of the door of your mind. Because what you feed your mind, that's how you become. If you think these things, if you always watch the news, if you always talk to negative people and agree with them, that affects you so much more than you could ever imagine. So stand guard at the door of your mind. If someone's saying something that's not productive, that's not good. If someone's saying something like, oh, dyslexia is rubbish, dyslexia is a curse, you're like, yeah, I suppose it's hard. That is damaging to your potential. That is damaging to your belief you have of yourself. So step number 2 is notice what's around you. Notice if you think negative thought. And because you know what's true, you know the truth, and you know this isn't the truth. But here's the thing, you can't deny it. You can't say this is stupid, or why am I thinking these things? This is so negative. You mean I should beat myself up? That's the worst thing you can do. Because beating yourself up is negative, and it breeds that cycle. Then you work really hard, you have this mental fight in your head the whole time. You think, this dude theology is wrong. But that's what you shouldn't do. You should realize that. Say, okay, my mind is designed to keep me alive, not designed to make me survive. That's what it is. So it says these things, okay, thank you for thinking that, but move on. You know what I mean? Erase, it doesn't count, it's a thought. But if that thought keeps coming back, and if it justifies itself, and if you find yourself justifying it, this is where you've got to look inside, that's where you've got to look at it and question that. Because oftentimes, maybe if it keeps coming back, and maybe it's a bit more than a thought, maybe it's like kind of a belief maybe. And you have to really look at it and start questioning it, saying, Is that really true? Not really true, is it? Nah, I'm not going to believe that anymore. And when you write down reasons why it's an absolutely idiot sort of belief, and then maybe you can create a new one. Like, I'm not dumb. I'm as smart as I choose to be. I'm as smart as I work hard to be. Of course I can achieve anything. I just have to work hard at it, okay? So that's step number one, is believe that that dyslexia doesn't stop you. It just slows you down sometimes. And step number one. Step number two, notice the thoughts, your thinking mind. Step number three, notice what people around you are saying about that thing. Just notice it. What your friends saying about it, what the people around you saying about it. Because oftentimes you can tell what they believe about something, about how they talk about it. Okay? Tell by what they believe about how they talk about that thing. And decide, for example, if your friends always talk about negative stuff, I'm not saying, oh, abandon them, oh, they're negative. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is just notice it. And really realize, okay, they believe that because of their environment, because you've been brought up in a certain way, just like maybe you have. But you're more smarter now. You can realize the truth that sometimes we've been brought up in a way that's lying to us with our beliefs. So when they say sort of things like that, you can go, well, yeah, I understand why they're saying that because of their thing. But that's not true at all. I know what I believe, and that's not true. So step number 3 and step number 4 is do this consistently and then find other areas to do this in. This is the habit. This is so important. It's just basically kind of like being a bit meditative, but thinking about your thoughts. Thinking about your thoughts. So you're thinking about saying, I'm not going, because I do have negative beliefs about my looks. I do have negative beliefs about the way how intelligent I am. I do have negative beliefs about my health or things like that. And then you've got to do this thing. Know what the truth is. The truth is you can do anything. The truth is that basically your potential is limitless. And then notice those negative thoughts you have and really get curious. Say, okay, that's not true. Let's move this on. And it keeps on coming back and you find yourself justifying it. Really get curious about that. Maybe this is a belief. Maybe this is a false belief I have because I brought from the past and getting rid of it, okay? And step number 3, look about what other people are saying around you about that thing and really understand why they're saying it and appreciate their thing, but do not agree with them because they're false. And step number 4, do it for other areas. All right, guys, I hope really enjoyed it. Hope we got some insight in this. All right, take care, guys. Farewell and bye.